I'm Dave Haley. I play drums for Psycroptic, and it's a pleasure to be here. I'm never going to say never to anything with this band because who knows? Like, I didn't know how this album was going to sound until I listened to the finished product. We're not trying to be technical for technicality's sake. It's just whatever needs to be done. Maybe if we get stuck in the future, I'm not going to say no. Um, if we choose to work with an artist, we're going to give them, within reason, complete and 100% creative control. So it's somewhat true. It did start with a comment by Ryan, and he kicked it off. Touring the winter sucks. That's one thing. We won't record a song unless we can play it, obviously. Joe and Jason, they're never leaving Tasmania. So yeah, it's Psycroptic's home.
So, hello everyone. Today with us is founder of Australian death metal band Psycroptic, Dave. And Dave, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, you just did. My name is I'm Dave Haley. I play drums for Psycroptic and a few other bands, and it's a pleasure to be here.
You recently released your new album. We're less than 2 weeks from the release date. And what are you busy with right now?
Busy with everything album and tour related. We've got an Australian tour that starts next week. And of course, we're doing as much promo as we can for the new album, and juggling work life, family life, everything else. It's good. It's a good problem to have, but just finding the time for everything.
And you said before that you finished writing the songs in the studio. Like typical process for a lot of bands, probably especially young bands, they make sure all the songs are done, they rehearse them, then they go to the studio record. It's different with you. So how does that process work for you?
Well, yeah, it's definitely evolved over the years. Like in the early days, we did it exactly like that. Wrote the songs, rehearsed them, um, rehearsed them maybe too much, went into the studio, recorded, and that's how they were. But then over the years, as Joe, improved his engineering and production skills, and it's kind of his growth as an engineer and producer kind of grew with the band. We just started to experiment a little bit more, just because, especially in the early days, you'd come out of the studio and you're like, I wish we did that. I wish we did that. You're always watching the clock, and maybe the ideas don't come out as you'd imagine them. I thought it was going to sound like this if I played that, but when you hear it back, it doesn't. So we tweaked it a little bit, and we lean on the studio a lot as like a writing tool. So when I track my drums, the songs are still just skeletons. So we can definitely let everything evolve as we go along, and it's worked especially well on this album. It's like the songs kind of they write themselves. They unveil themselves as you go along, and it's kind of with hindsight you get to hear what everything sounds like rather than rehearsing everything and then not being willing to change when you get into the studio just because you've practiced this idea a million times and you don't want to let go of it. But now it's like, okay, well, we'll try an idea. No, that didn't work. Let's try this. We can just try a lot more ideas until you actually find the correct parts. So yeah, it's a fun, you know, it's a little bit flippant to call it a writing tool, but yeah, we do use the studio to help us write.
And are lyrics written beforehand on, are they also finished in the studio or even written in the studio from scratch?
A bit of both, a little bit of both. Our studio sessions are kind of drawn out because Joe owns the studio, so we're not under any sort of time crunch. We don't go in for a 6 week block and do the album. We kind of chip away at it. The only block of recording we do is the initial drums. That might be just a week, and then once that's done, it's the foundation. Then everything else can slowly get built over the top of that. So yeah, the lyrics they evolve as well as the song evolves. You know, some of the phrasing might not work with specific words and need to get tweaked and things like that. Whether, you know, in the past everything was written, done, and then we didn't change it. So I much prefer this flexible writing style, recording style that we do.
And I read that you re-recorded your drum parts for I think the main single of the album, Gathering Venomous Herd. Like, what didn't work?
I put that song off till last in the studio. So how I develop my parts, Joel sent me this like the loose structures of the songs, the skeletons, and I'll just rehearse them for a few months, playing them different ways every single time, and just letting the ideas kind of evolve. Um, so by the time I get to the studio, it's almost this fully formed drum part, and I put off gathering until last. Nothing was coming together for it, and I didn't like what I had prepared. So that was the last song we tracked. Um, I just didn't have a good time. It came together really well in hindsight, but I had to go through so many different ideas. So we definitely worked hard. It doesn't sound like it, you know, it sounds like quite an easy song, but we we worked a lot harder on that one, just getting the right part, the right feel, because it's a very um, it's got a lot of syncopated parts in it. It's a mid-paced song, so anything is going to stand out. So we had to make sure everything was exactly how it needed to be, and the parts I prepared weren't. So yeah, it was like, all right, cool, let's rewrite it. Let's try something new. But we got there. We got there in the end.
That's great. And I enjoyed two of the songs on the album. They have these like dark acoustic, even like oriental melodies, the intros, Sort of Me and Our Pillars Fall. And like, where did that come from? And also, do you plan to have more of that in the future, or you just don't know right now?
I mean, we've dabbled with it on a lot of albums in the past. We do let Joe have a bit of free reign with all the, you know, the 10%, you know, the cherry on top, which is, you know, all those acoustic sort of bits. And he's got such a wide ranging a palette of musical tastes that um, it unveils a lot of cool ideas that, you know, you wouldn't think necessarily fit in metal music. And that's what I do find refreshing about Psycroptic is there's no real rules. We can do whatever we want, and it's as interesting for me, you know, and the rest of the band as it is for the audience to hear the final product because, you know, who knows? You know, one idea will spark another idea that will spark another idea, and then you end up with something like those acoustic intros that it's like, wow, it needs this. So what about this? And then it just reveals itself. So yeah, let's. I'm never going to say never to anything with this band because who knows? Like, I didn't know how this album was going to sound until I listened to the finished product. It's like, ah, cool. This is it's a bit different. It's a bit more of a. I think it's a bit more of a mid-paced, a bit more thrashy album. Definitely a more varied album than some of our previous ones. So yeah, it's just that there's no rules. Do whatever you want.
I know, I think in the past you guys pushed back on the strict definition of the genre where people try to fit you with like technical death metal, so you're definitely evolving.
Yeah, yeah. It's that's a tag. Not that we're ashamed of it or offended by it or whatever, but I don't think the technical death metal tag does suit us these days. You know, previous albums for sure, you know, it was very, very, very technical. But these days, I think our song structures are much more traditional, but they're intricate riffs. That's just Joe's writing style. That's just how he writes. It's not particularly. He doesn't view it as technical. It's just that's the songs. We're not trying to be technical for technicality's sake. It's just whatever needs to be done is done. Where in the past, we've definitely fallen into the trap of trying to jam too many ideas into a song. But these days we do let the music breathe. But we do, I guess, historically come out of the tech death scene. And I still listen to it here and there, but it's I'd rather put on Bolt Thrower than the latest crazy tech death release, to be honest.
And you produce everything yourself. Like, did you have an idea, maybe involve somebody outside to have some fresh ideas? Or you're just completely happy with being self-sufficient?
Yeah, I mean we've talked about the ideas in the past, and here and there we've had other people mix it. It's just it kind of works pretty well, so far. Joe writes the music and produces the albums as well when he's got a studio, and it kind of um we don't feel like we're stale. I think we're still writing pretty fresh and unique music, so it's like, well, if it's not broke, we probably don't need someone else at this point in time. Um, Maybe if we get stuck in the future, I'm not going to say no. Um, yeah, we've talked about it, but it's like, well, it's everyone's really happy with the writing and recording process at the moment. It's we work very hard, but it's still very relaxed, and um, we're still coming out with uniquely psychroptic stuff. So as soon as it starts to become a bit stale, then maybe, but not for the near future.
Let's talk about the visual part of the album, the cover. So for me, it's like two ancient statues that are in withered state, and they're now covered with some like leaves, some plants growing over them. Am I correct in that interpretation? And what story does the cover tell, and what story does the album tell?
Okay, so any artist we work with, whether it's like visual, um, or media with like film clips or any of that sort of stuff, if we choose to work with an artist, we're going to give them within reason, complete and 100% creative control. We'll give them an idea, and it's like, well, you take this idea and go off and let's see what you come back with. So we gave an idea to the artist. So the artist is amazing Portuguese artist. Belial Necroarts is his um, art name. And it was loosely, okay, what would, a immortal being, godlike being, however you want to categorize it, that creature is immortal but doesn't want to be. So what would that look like? And within a week, he came back with the cover, and it's like, oh, this is perfect. Like no changes. Like that's exactly how it is. Yeah, we did supply him with some other lyrics from the album, so it's like, okay, you get a vibe of what's going on, and he was aware of our previous, artwork catalog. We don't want to repeat ourselves, so it's like, well, that's what we've done in the past. You go forth. And yeah, as soon as we saw it, it was like, this is perfect. Yeah, no changes. Let's just put the logo on there and it's done. And I think that's the secret to giving an artist that you are confident in their abilities. You just give them free reign, and they're going to take ownership of the idea and come out with something a lot better than rather here's all these guidelines, here's these dot points. We want 3 revisions, blah 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 blah. I don't think you're going to get someone's best work that way. So yeah, very simple process. It was a simple process.
As with you, yeah, I think when you work with somebody like that, you see their portfolio. Right, and you're like, yeah, I like that style, and I'm sure I will trust that person to deliver great results. So you want to give creative person that freedom, because otherwise that creative person will probably be frustrated and tell them, well, you can go and find somebody who will just follow your directions 100% and don't bother me.
Exactly, exactly. Like there's been times where I've been asked to do session drums on an album, and then they'll send me the program drums and say, just play this, and it's like, well, I think you're gonna have to find someone else because I'm not interested. Um, if you want me to be an artist, I'll be an artist. But if you want me to replicate someone else's work, I'm not really interested. So I think that ethos resonates with other creative people. As soon as I can take ownership of the idea, um, you're going to get the best results possible.
And this album you released on Metal Blade, and I don't know how true is the story that it started with some like comment from Ryan Williams who said, "Once you have something, like come over to Metal Blade and we'll publish it."
It's somewhat true. We've known Ryan for years. He's a great friend of the band. And it was just a comment of like, "Oh, we're out of contract now." And he's like, "Oh, hit me up." So that was that was literally what it was. And we're always pretty DIY. So we're writing, recording off our own bat. So when we're out of contract, we wrote and record The Architects of Extinction, which is a single that we put out last year. And we were intending just to put it out ourselves, or just use it to send to a short list of labels, which Metal Blade were on the top. Um, we did that. They heard the song. They're like, "Cool, love it. Let's work out a deal." And it was pretty much as simple as that. They've been phenomenal to work with. They're all industry pros. I mean, the label's legendary. Yeah, zero complaints. It's been great, and it did. So it's somewhat true. It did start with a comment by Ryan, and he kicked it off.
It's great. And you're heading into the tour, I believe, in August next month. You will have Australian tour, and then later in the year you will come over here to United States. So not far where I live in Santa Cruz, in San Jose. You will have show November 24th. So do you just like to tour more in the winter because it's winter now in Australia, and then when it's winter here, you come over to Northern Hemisphere?
No, it's it's just the luck of when everything was scheduled. I'd much prefer to tour in the summer. It's much nicer. Touring in the winter sucks, but the album's out, so we've got to get out there and play some shows. Luckily, it still is a little bit warm in some of the southern states in the state, summer southern areas in the US. But yeah, it's going to be really cold up north. And it's quite chilly here. So yeah, we start in winter and we keep going into winter, and then we go to Europe into winter as well. So yeah, it didn't work out for sunny summer tours for us this time.
Do you know personally the bands that you're gonna tour with?
In Europe,
Uh, so North America. Like I'm from North America, so I'm more interested.
okay, yeah. Personally, yeah. So we're going out with Inferi, Cognitive, and Summoning Lich, sorry. Which is a killer package. It's a cool package. In Australia, we go out with Rivers and Nil, and two other Australian bands called Growth and Slaughtercult. Um, so yeah, a lot of great bands, a lot of blast beats, and hopefully a lot of fun.
Did you already finalize your set list?
Not yet, no, no. So I go down to I live in Melbourne, and the rest of the guys are in Tasmania. So I'm heading off next week to rehearsals. So we've got an idea, but we don't know the set order. We don't know which songs are going to make the cut or not. And we might mix it up. Um, it's going to take a few shows to feel what works. live. You know, some new songs really just don't work live. You think they're going to work, and then you play it, and it's like, well, that didn't. So a lot of it's a little bit trial and error. Um, so we'll see. Yeah, like we're excited to play quite a few songs off this album because I think a lot will translate to the live um, show. But let's see which ones work.
Are there songs that in the past you did well on the album, you like them, but you play them and they completely did not work, or it was like challenging to.
Oh, yeah, no, all the time. Like that's one thing we won't record a song unless we can play it, obviously. So we could play everything live. It's just a matter of rehearsing them. But sometimes you choose songs and you're like, this is going to be killer, and it just does not go down well. Other times we might just try a song and it's just the wrong place in the set. You know, when we were doing the Divine Council touring, we started a lot of shows with a track called Enslavement, and it just went down like a sack of shit. It was just terrible. Until we moved it to the end, and as soon as we started playing it at the end of the set, it's perfect. And it's like, okay, this is the perfect closer. It's definitely not an opening song. So yeah, just shuffling things around sometimes works. Sometimes persevering with a track, it's like, well, it's not. It will work, but for some reason, it's just not at the moment. Um, and then other songs you just commit to, and it's like it just doesn't work. So there's been a few that have I really like playing, um, but yeah, for whatever reason they don't go over as well as other songs.
Do you like touring more or creating new music and putting out albums?
Probably creating. That's the part I really like. Um, I do like touring, but it does get a little bit more challenging the older you get, the more responsibilities you got. It's each tour is a little bit more challenging, but the creative part is, yeah, I think that's a lot more rewarding because you're starting with this, nothing, and then by the end of it, you've got a song from nowhere, you know. But yeah, I love both of them, and they can be both equally frustrating at times. But yeah, I'd say the creative part wins out just by a little bit.
And you've mentioned before that most of the band is in Tasmania, so and the roots of Psycroptic are from Tasmania, and you even have nickname Tasmanian Devils, and you also participated in a fundraiser for the organization that helped research like to yes like stop the disease that kills a lot of Tasmanian devils, and so do you still feel that like strong connection to the island and that it's like really deep in the roots of the band itself?
Yeah, I mean it's home. It's home. Even though I personally don't live there. Psycroptic is a Tasmanian band. Every time I go to Tasmania, it's like, this is home. You know, I just live somewhere else now. Um, it's a beautiful place. It's amazing. It's very unique. The people down there are awesome. Yeah, it's definitely the band's home, even though we are spread out a little bit. And Todd Stern is based in New Jersey, but he's an honorary Tasmanian, and we always love playing there. We rehearse down there. Yeah, it's definitely Joe and Jason. They're never leaving Tasmania, so yeah, it's Psychroptic's home.
And do you have maybe some other plans to work like towards the environmental causes like you did in the past?
If the right one pops up, yeah, it's always a challenging one because if not to sound, it's going to come out wrong and it's going to sound heartless or whatever. But if you choose one cause, then another cause might say, well, what about us? And then what about us? And then it's like you're picking and choosing, um, and then, you know, some people will start to throw politics into whatever, and it's, yeah, it can get a little bit messy. The Tasmanian Devil one was the obvious one. It's like, well, we have to help out here. And, you know, here and there we'll do, you know, like a benefit show, or for something that we do have some sort of connection to, but you can't say yes to everything, unfortunately. You know, and if you do, it just opens up the door for more causes that maybe you don't feel as strongly about. So, if there's a very, you know, we've done some benefit shows for personal friends and things like that. It's like, and that's always, you know, a case by case thing, and definitely, of course, yeah, for sure, we'll do that. But if someone's, you know, sending us an email about a cause that we don't really know about, and it's like, it's best of luck. I wish you best of luck, but you know, we've only got a finite amount of hours. But yeah, the Tassie Devil one was a no-brainer.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes full sense.
Yeah.
And for closer, for people who probably would hear you, I know you have now multiple albums. I believe this is album number 9. And
No, but no, yeah.
for people who might hear you for the first time, and this is their first album from Psycroptic, what do you want them take away from your music?
I just hope they enjoy it. You know, there's no real message. We're not trying to push any agendas or anything. It's just, if you enjoy it, you know, show it to a friend, tell a friend, come to a show, buy a t-shirt. But yeah, I'm not going to try to tell them what to think, but if they like it, yeah, just listen to it, enjoy it, play it to your mates.
TheMetalList.com. Subscribe.